Every individual in this country has an identity that is worth protecting and securing. Our identities are the true description of who we are and should be the most protected identification of each individual. In our quietest moments, the theft of our identities can be at its worst. The crime is horrendous at any level of class, gender, race, education, and age. Identity theft is the fraudulent activity of using another individual's identity in order to access resources or obtain any financial gain. Every day we expose our identities with thousands of unsecured, dangerous activities without ever knowing when our identities have been compromised. Each year, over 10 million Americans are victims to identity theft. Each year, another identity theft is unreported. It is compounding the problem. Our beautiful nation of plenty is diminished by fraudulent acts of cruelty. These crimes can be the most fiendish, secretive crimes and can begin right in our own homes. Each day we prepare our bags, our work material, and our personal information. But is our personal information evidence in identity theft crimes? Any personal financial account information should be locked away in your home. Our unconscious mistakes can also be factors in our identities being stolen. The time it takes for our identity to be stolen, without ever knowing, happens in a short period, but can destroy lives for a long time.
There are a number of ways that technology has really impacted the opportunity for identity theft. One is, of course, what we call phishing. And it's surprising to me that people still fall victim to this. Everyone now is using email for their personal lives as well as their commercial and financial lives, and so it's not uncommon for identity theft thieves to send perhaps an email saying, we think there's a problem with your account, we think there's a problem with your order, would you please reply to this email and email us your name, address, phone number, and your account information. Well, people are still falling victim to that. If you respond to these emails, then you are in effect giving over the information that identity theft thieves need to then perhaps take out a credit card in your name, borrow money in your name, withdraw money in your name, etc., etc. One way you can tell that the email is not legitimate is there will often be misspellings, typos, the grammar is not quite right. So that is a clue right there. So they can, through cutting and pasting from the legitimate website on the internet, make it look like this is a bona fide request when in fact it has not being generated from the real company.
Innocent phone calls from fraudulent medical offices, fake medical bills asking for personal information, or lurking internet predators prey on our passive nature.
Some simple ways, and this is not necessarily related to technology, but some simple ways that identity thieves are also getting this information is such things as rifling through your mailbox, such things as rifling through your trash. If you think about it, how many of us are as careful as we need to be about making sure that we shred everything before we put it out for the trash every week. And that's another rich source of information about your account, how much money you have, your name, your address, birthday, whatever it might be. So it does not necessarily have to be driven by technology in order for you to find yourself a victim of identity theft.
counteract our risk of identity theft, we need to be constantly aware of our actions in our daily activities to reduce the risk of identity theft. Prevention is the best defense for identity theft. Our exposure to daily interactivity with people and technology can become overwhelming in protecting from all forms of identity theft. People's dishonesty and untrustworthiness alone can be factors in all identity theft crimes. Identity theft crimes can happen in the most unnoticeable places by the most unnoticeable people.
If your personal information has been stolen or you have reason to believe it might have been, for example, you receive a strange purchase at your home or your place of work and you call the company that sent that product and you find that they indeed have your name, address, your phone number, even your email address, that would be the time to be on heightened alert that there might be a problem. And so what you want to do is immediately close any kind of financial accounts that you believe may be at risk. When you open any new accounts, you want to password protect those accounts. Another thing you might want to think about doing is having separate accounts for different kinds of money. Let's say you have a account at the credit union. You might want a separate account number, let's say for your checking account, and then you always have to have some sort of savings account usually, but you can keep a small amount of money in there, and then maybe you want to, for your savings or your money market, have another account number. So even if one account is put at risk, let's say your checking account, your other money, your major savings and mutual funds and money market accounts are safeguarded because you're using a different account. Another way that financial information can be taken is using the ATM machine. Be sure that you don't leave the little slips lying around. Be sure when you're using the machine, someone is not right there. There have been some scams too where cameras have been mounted or someone is nearby with a cell phone and is maybe using the cell phone's camera features to record as you punch in your account information. Take your withdrawal slip or your balance slip, whatever it might be, with you. Another question that often asked is, why is identity theft such a serious crime? And I think not only is it serious because certainly people have found themselves victims, whether it be something like their credit card information is stolen and large purchases are suddenly appearing on their account, whether money is withdrawn from their bank account. And some of those things can even develop into much more serious kinds of issues. But another reason why identity theft is such a serious crime is the victim of identity theft is very much going to be the one bearing the burden to correct this issue. There's a limit to what law enforcement can do for you. So it is very much going to be the victim who has to work with the credit card company, who has to work with their bank, who has to work with the credit bureaus to clean the record, to absolve themselves essentially of charges. The natural tendency is for these problems to remain unless the victim of identity theft becomes very proactive in getting their record clean, in clearing their name, in restoring their good credit. So that's why prevention is really the key. One thing you can really do also to protect yourself from identity theft is reduce the amount of personal information coming to you in your mailbox by the number of catalogs that you receive. You can do this very easily, and it not only reduces the amount of mail coming in to your mailbox, but also is a great way to protect the environment as well. There is a great service called Catalog Choice, www.catalogchoice, all one word, you don't need to capitalize anything, .org. And once you get on Catalog Choice, you can create a very simple profile, and then each time you get a catalog from a company you don't want, you notify through the website Catalog Choice that you want to discontinue receiving that catalog. They will then work with the vendor that is sending that catalog to try and discontinue that catalog for you. You can significantly reduce the number of catalogs you're receiving. Why is that an issue? Well, a catalog will have your name, your address, and also a customer number on there. And to the extent that that would reveal or someone uses that information to place orders in your name, that's one way to reduce that. The other important thing you can do, and this is based on some federal legislation, is to request free copies of your credit reports. You are allowed under federal law to have a free report from each of the 3 credit bureaus every year on an annual basis. There's an official website to do this. Be very, very careful that you use the official website for this. There are a lot of other companies out there that purport to do this for you, and then they'll try to charge you extra or try to convince you you need additional services. What you can do is either request a free report from all 3 credit bureaus at the same time, or you could spread it out throughout the year. So maybe every 4 months you request from one, and then another 4 months you request from another, and then the last part of the year you request from the 3rd credit bureau. Then when you get these reports, check everything very carefully. And this is your opportunity to correct errors, to dispute things where you feel there is erroneous information there. Also, take this opportunity to, as much as possible, any credit cards that you really are not using at all, this might be an opportunity to cancel those as well. So what you're doing in this process is you're first cleaning up your credit report, making sure it's accurate, verifying any information, working with the credit report company to make sure that, again, they don't have erroneous information there. Then once you've done that, I would encourage you to implement the credit freeze. It's a wonderful program that Indiana has put into place for its citizens. A number of states already have this, but what you can do is you can go on the Indiana Attorney General's website, and the Attorney General has a nice description of this process and also has template letters you can use. And what you do is you have a letter for each of the 3 major credit bureaus. These are the organizations that anyone who is going to offer you credit or a loan or some other kind of advance will check first to determine your credit worthiness, and then also what your interest rate will be. And by sending these letters, then you can either put a 5-year or permanent freeze on your credit reports. So people without your permission cannot request and look at your credit information with the 3 credit bureaus. This will significantly reduce, of course, the offers you're getting, because if you have not given permission for a company to receive the information about your credit worthiness, they are not now allowed to receive your credit report. They will not be able to issue credit to you. And certainly a person who is trying to do this and establish an identity, taking over your identity, will not be able to get that information and take out credit in your name. Another important point that I don't think people think about is the extent to which dishonest employees of particular companies might in fact be the vehicle by which you find yourself a victim of identity theft. There are devices out there that allow your credit card to be swiped, and these are just little pocket devices, and the person can have that. Let's say it's a waiter or waiter at a restaurant. He or she can quickly swipe your card, go off to the register, process your bill, brings back your slip, and you sign, and you've enjoyed your meal, and so off you go. Well, now this little device actually, each time that the credit card is swiped, is capturing that information. And that information can be given over to a broker or someone else who is gathering all of that information. And then, of course, you've left a slip with your name and your signature on it. And of course, now if we've got many people with these devices, all with stored credit card information in them, all going into a centralized source, that can be a huge way for identity theft to happen.
Identity theft is a crime, and it is our responsibility as consumers to know the preventative measures to lessen our chance of being victims. Remember, anyone can be a victim of identity theft, young, old, alive, and deceased. Get copies of your yearly credit reports. Discard sensitive data and important information coming to and out of your mailbox. Prevention is your ultimate defense to this crime. Be sure to know ways to protect yourself and the resources to help keep identity theft down. Let's all help to stop this crime from attacking this nation.